What is PowerShell? PowerShell is a command line shell and scripting language. You can utilize the basic command structure that comes with it, and you can work with .NET, Visual Basic, JavaScript, and other languages or scripting. It's not limited by Windows. It can be used with Linux or integrated into it. You can use it as a beginner, as well as if you're an experienced scripter or programmer. So it just depends on your level of experience, what you do for your daily work, your job, and that will kind of tell you where you need to start. If you're already at an advanced level, I mean, you can probably just go buy the PowerShell cookbook and have at it, which generally requires you to have more experience to be able to figure out how to make use of those recipes. Now, for those people that are beginners, you might want to start with something more basic. Now, of all the methods out there, from what I've seen, the best method for beginning falls under either just winging it and figuring it out for yourself using Google search as you're trying to find how to do something, or a better method, which would have shortcut my own means of learning from when I started, which would be this Learn Windows PowerShell in a Month of Lunches book. You can find it on manning.com. I'm not getting any reimbursement for this. This is what I tell all the workers where I work. Anybody new coming in, this is a good way to start and shortcut learning time. This tells you from the very basic level, like you've got no experience, how to start with PowerShell, things about it, and how to proceed with getting a basic rundown so you can start utilizing it. At any level, it can make your job easier and shortcut the time. I mean, all you have to do is compare how long it takes you to use a graphical tool to get something like an Active Directory user and their related information using the Active Directory console, and then running a get add user command, and you'll see that just the time it takes to pull up the information is shortened by a long shot. So, and then there are more advanced versions of the book, PowerShell Toolmaking, which you can make tools that are a bit more complicated, but you can reuse them, you can share them out. And then there's also PowerShell Scripting, which takes it a step further and gets you into far more advanced stuff. So these books also walk you along and basically have you do some things in PowerShell so you can get used to it. So how to approach PowerShell for a new person, you have to figure out what your needs are. What does your job entail? PowerShell is as vast as Microsoft product portfolio, so don't try to learn it all in one day or ever. It's like trying to be the system administrator of everything. 20 years ago, it may have been possible. Now, IT is so complicated, you're not going to get everything done. You're going to struggle to try to do so, and you're going to fail, most likely, unless you're a genius and you have great memorizing power. So basically, you learn what is useful for your job, learn general to PowerShell stuff relating to your job, and once you have the general PowerShell use down, well then from there you can basically fine-tune, add stuff to your toolbox as you deem fit. So, because PowerShell, once you learn how to use it, it's actually pretty simple from there. The basic structure. So you can use Google to figure out how to do stuff, like I said. You can do like how to do a PowerShell test connection command. You can use the Microsoft Docs site, which will tell you the basic structure of the command. You can look up more complicated scripts, but you got to be careful because a lot of scripts are made by people who are heavier into scripting language, and you want to make sure you don't get in over your head. you have to consider that how complicated you make your PowerShell commands or scripts should coincide with how often you're going to use them, how much time your job will allow you to spend on those, trying to figure them out, and how much time you have to actually troubleshoot issues that come across. If you use some random script that you don't understand and you have problems, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to figure out why, and it might get you in trouble on the job if you're not seeing it as getting work done, because you're spending so much time trying to reverse engineer what you just got off the internet or started trying to utilize. So stick to what you know until you're comfortable or know how to use stuff, and go only as complicated as it makes sense to use, because time is money, and if you're only going to use a script once, no sense in spending a week or a month trying to make a crazy complicated script, because it's just not going to be worth it. I myself don't even have time to really do much, so I keep all my stuff at work basic. Yet I'm probably one of the most productive ones at work, because I don't overly complicate it, and I basically can take one command and I can repurpose it over and over for the various simple uses that I use it for. So if you're specialized in something, then make more complicated scripts that suit your needs, but make sure you understand what you're doing and you don't just grab random stuff on the internet. So so as you can see here, here's a couple of commands. A for each statement, I basically made a text file, and I put localhost, which will refer to my own machine, and it's a for each command that would go through every computer object in the list in this text file, and it would try to ping it or make sure it would run the command. Alternatively, the PowerShell rendition of ping, running the same thing. As you can see, if this was multiple machines, then it would also, once it was finished with mine, it would go on to the next. So you can also use invoke command for remote machines, as you can see, and pull information, and pretty much go as basic or as complicated as you want. As you can see, it's got many uses. You can figure out what all your local printers are that are connected to your machine. I mean, it's pretty much anything you can do in the GUI, anything administration-wise. PowerShell provides something or some way of doing it. It's just a matter of figuring it out, and some things are more complicated than others. But lastly, never forget the help commands. You can find out, just same thing on the Microsoft Docs, you can pretty much get all the information within PowerShell. Now you can go to various levels of what you want out of it, or the information you want. In this case, we'll just show you that you can get quite a lot of information. You just have to update your help initially when you use PowerShell for the first time on a machine, which would be the update-help command. And it will go out to Microsoft if you can connect out, and it will make sure that all this information is populated. And in here, you can get examples on how to run commands. You can get information on the actual command values and what they actually entail. Basically the same thing you get from the Microsoft site. So, and also you can also learn little tidbits on how to use other components such as Boolean. Now, one of the more difficult things to learn for a new PowerShell user is how to do Boolean commands or base commands. So on a basic level, you can do something like this. You can do an if, and in parentheses you can run a command. If the command returns a value like this one, then it will actually proceed with whatever is in the script block. You can do more complicated ones, or something equals, or something is greater than something, but that can be more complicated. Whereas if you would just want to run a command, if like a computer responds to a reply, to make a command run faster and not try to run it automatically against everything, you can do something like this, where if it pings, if you get a ping reply, then it will proceed with the script block. So I think that about sums up the lesson. Hopefully I covered everything. But yeah, keep it simple, or as simple as you can, no more complicated than you need to.